Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Today we are discussing a model launched in 2011. This is the Vacheron Constantin Traditionnelle World Time. Originally the Patrimony Traditionnelle, the timepiece, was retailed as you see it here in 2018, after which Patrimony and Traditionnelle had been broken into two separate model lines. But the hardware does not change. 42.5 millimeters in diameter in white gold. It measures 11.7 millimeters thick. From lug tip to lug tip, 49 millimeters with a 22 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Popping open the clasp real quick, you can see that the watch wears well on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist. Though being exceptionally large for a dress watch, it's not going to fit on a wrist much smaller than mine. I would say your wrist needs to be at least 15 centimeters circumference or larger to wear this substantial timepiece well. That said, it's not as thick as it looks. It's sheer and cylindrical, but the case flank is fairly low as it is thinner than a Rolex Daytona. The watch feels substantial. That's part of the effect of having so much white gold gathered in one place. The strap is extremely substantial. You can see that the lugs are drilled relatively close to the case for a better fit on a smaller wrist, and in order to prevent any impediment to the motion of the strap, a curved spring bar is used so you can pull it straight down out of the lugs. As with many high horology brands today, you can see Vacheron is using large rectangular scale alligator leather on the top, and then, as you can appreciate, there is small scale alligator on the bottom. So you see these little round scales? That's another cut of alligator leather. The advantage of having it on both sides is a longer lasting strap. Now we have a sheer cut side showing the layers of leather and a monotone black stitch. We have a white gold folding clasp. You can see the little Maltese cross motif all over this watch. You can see there's a little Maltese cross inside the clasp. The profile of the Maltese cross at center. The chassis for the clasp is both polished and media blasted, and then we have an outcropping in the form of the buckle, again shaped like the Maltese cross. Take a look underneath. You can see that the buckle is held in place by a little screw. So once you have it sized, you insert the screw, and that keeps it very secure on the wrist. Deployant clasps protect against accidentally dropping your watch. A screw-fixed buckle on a deployant clasp gives you even more security. The case is in white gold, and as you can see, it's fairly nuanced. There's a lot going on here. There is a little bit of a step on the underside of the lugs, as well as a teardrop taper at the end of the lugs. The case band is stepped in somewhat from the mid case, and then we have a coined case back. The bezel is conical and stepped in a little bit from the case band. Again, all of these tricks are used to visually thin out the watch. The lugs are particularly forceful, and you can see that they jut out separate from the case. These are not blended Calatrava style lugs. The watch is made of what's called gray gold in the industry, which is a type of 18-karat white gold that does not need to be rhodium plated. So if you scratch it, there's no different color underneath, and it never needs to be replated. Now the dial is remarkably complex. We have a projection of the northern hemisphere at the center of the dial, which is elaborately finished metal. And then we have hands that are unconventional in their form. We have a Dauphine-style minute hand, and then we have a triangular index on a quasi-Dauphine-style hour hand. Take a good look and you can see that the hands are triple finished. The seconds hand has a satin finish across its top, while the hour and minute hands feature 1/2 polish, 1/2 media blasting. We have 37 time zones on this dial, and part of the concept with the Vacheron World Time is that it can do what most world timers cannot, which is to take into account time zones that have a 30-minute and 15-minute offset. That is why, as you set the time, you will note periodically the minute hand will jump in exaggerated fashion, as its advance is not linear due to the non-linear jump from time zone to time zone. It is not 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. It'll be 1, 30, 15, 1, 30, 15, 15. That's how it works. And that's why it appears a little bit haphazard as you advance it and change the current reference city. Your current city you place down at the index at 6 o'clock, and so you read it adjacent to that index. And then there's a Louis Cotier world time system where you have the 24-hour ring, each semicircle shaded differently to represent day and nighttime, and you just read the time, the hour adjacent to the city of interest, and then you read the minutes at center, and that's exactly how that works. It acknowledges the fact that there are more than 24 cities and 24 reference hours on a true world time watch. Now, it's also important to remember that Vacheron, along with Patek Philippe, was one of the earliest to utilize the Louis Cotier world time system. Though often associated with Patek, Vacheron was using it just as early in the 1930s. Turn it all over and you can see that since 2012, the Geneva hallmark is not just a standard of movement finish, you find it on the case, as the entire watch meets that August reference point for fine finish, chronometry, and materials. Taking a quick look at the movement, you can see that the rotor has been cut on a rose lathe, and it is triple finished. It's also a 22-karat rotor, not 21, not 18. This is the densest gold used on a rotor for maximum winding efficiency. It is a unidirectional winder for better efficiency. Unidirectional is more efficient than bidirectional. This has been tested, and it uses ceramic rotor bearings that are unlubricated for higher efficiency and minimal maintenance. This is manufactured caliber 2460 WT for world time. It has a 40-hour power reserve. It beats away at 28,800 vibrations per hour. It pivots on 27 joules. It does bear the Poinçon de Genève, which you can see on the balance cock. And it is adjusted in 5 positions, as you would expect of a high horology timepiece. Finish is excellent. We have mirrored bevels, which you can see well on the edges of the bridges here. I'll do my best to try to get them to glow and gleam a little bit more. Perfectly aligned Côte de Genève across the bridges. We have satination on the wheels, black polishing on screw heads. And as you could see, the stud holder of the balance, as well as the regulator, black polished, with solarization on the cap to the rotor bearing at the center. It's very impressive. All of this 30 meters water resistant. Reach out to Tim Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.